All right, folks, the SEC is not letting up against Ripple. We got a full SEC versus Ripple response included in an update where we're going to be talking about Trump and BlackRock finally starting to get this crypto thing. Trump trying to pander for our vote. BlackRock CIO, what do they want? They want our money. The largest asset manager in the world wants to join this party. And so we're going to break it down here in this update for you guys. Massive week. A lot of stuff broke. If you guys missed my PolySign update, absolutely critical. One of the most important videos that I've done. Still waiting for a response from Jack McDonald on that. But if you guys missed that video, make sure you guys go check that out when you get a chance. Important update. And then this week was just jam-packed with news, economic data. And that's what I want to get started with right here, folks. So here we go. Last week's major U.S. economic reports and Fed speakers. We got the CPI on Wednesday. Came in just below expectations at 3.3% year over year. Core at 3.4%, still well above that 2% target, but as the headlines are telling us, right, it is cooling. We get the interest rate decision that day, which was another pause. I believe this is the 7th pause in a row. Now, a big one that did come in was the monthly U.S. federal budget. So our deficit for this year has already reached 1.2 trillion, and we added another 347 billion to the deficit just this last month. One key data point to watch is the initial jobless claims came out above expectations and above a range that the initial jobless claims had kind of been trading in, right? If you put it on a chart, you compare it to a stock or a crypto, right? The range that initial jobless claims had been in was somewhere around like 200 to 220, 230. And last month we got 229, or last week, and then 225 was the expectations. We came at 242,000 initial jobless claims. And this is after, remember, last week we finally got that unemployment number to hit the 4% marker. That was the Fed's target by the end of the year. Well, we're already there. We'll be watching that. Now, another one to watch is the consumer sentiment did drop off as well below expectations. So the consumer feeling it. A lot of Fed speakers reiterating the point this week that basically they need to see this inflation consistently coming down for months before they're going to feel comfortable cutting rates. What's happening right now, though, is the anticipation of the Fed rate cuts is diving people into the US dollar and into the 10-year treasury and into the fixed income, the bonds. They're buying up bonds. They're getting into dollars now before rates get cut, and then the yield on their bond would be going down. And so Finance Law shows us the chart here for the US dollar index. He says the dollar continues to follow the parabolic trend line and looks like it's ready to break out as it does during every crisis. And this is what folks are seeing too, is that it's not looking good. Let's find yield. Let's get into 10-year right now. And so the US dollar index, here's your chart. You can see that it's broken out and it is ready to climb back up. We're at about 105, 106 range right now. The peak was 115 back during 2022. And so we're going to see if this trend continues. We could continue seeing bleeding out in the cryptocurrency market. And so that's going to be something to watch there. For the 10-year yield, that's your 10-year bond, the yield drops because people are coming in and buying it. More buyers are showing up. So that yield's dropping back down to 4.2% for the 10-year, breaking down. So right now, the Fed has positioned themselves well where they're effectively cooling inflation on paper, right? Enough that they can act like they're and pretend that they're doing something, right? But it's driving people back into the dollar and it's getting folks to buy fixed debt now, fixed income, and lock in that yield right now in the anticipation that the rates are going to come down, and then you won't be able to get that 4.2, 4.5% yield that we were getting, upwards of 5% yield on some of those other bonds and T-bills. We'll continue to watch it. On the current events front, this one was interesting. Serbian President Vučić, there will be a world war in 3 to 4 months. We are checking the stocks of oil, flour, sugar. What does the Serbian president know? Shocking interview for the Swiss media. Now, once again, I'm not here to be doom and gloom. My thing has just always been have a plan. You don't know if the storm's going to come through town. I mean, this morning I woke up to thunderstorms up here in the Pacific Northwest, right? Which is about the worst that we get it. It's pretty mild up here. I can't complain. But we do face other threats, right? And so, like I said, I don't need to predict what the black swan, what the event's going to be, why the power goes out, why the grid goes down, why the internet goes out. I don't need to predict that. I just need to have a plan. And you prepare the same way for all of the various different events. I mean, with, some caveats here and there, but let's not get lost in the sauce. Let's keep it simple. If you have a plan, and you got some preparations, you're ready to go. You don't have to build out the doomsday bunker to be able to ride out a storm for 10 days is kind of the idea, right? And the rhetoric is picking up. I mean, just as last week, we saw Putin say that he was getting ready to use a nuke. Now, is Putin just doing the Putin deal? He likes to act tough. So is he just, talking, oh, yeah, or, we've always anticipated that we were going to get pretty dang close. And, the submarine 26 nautical miles off the coast of Florida, that was interesting, to say the least. So we're going to watch this. It's picking up right now. You have these countries that are starting to check their stock. I want you guys to check your stock as well. And I'm not talking about your portfolio. You should view it the same way. It's just as important. What's your crypto portfolio and your stocks going to do for you if the power goes out for a week, if the lights go out for just a little bit? They say we're only a few days away from absolute chaos, and we want your house to be in order. So let's get it done, folks, right now. We just talked about this in the Discord group last night. We're going to be talking a lot more about prepping over the next, 4 or 5 months, because it's getting interesting, to say the least, and you know why. Mr. Donald Trump, our President Trump, says he will end Joe Biden's war on crypto and ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. He's pandering to the Bitcoin bros very well by actually throwing out Bitcoin there. I would just love to hear Trump's thoughts on XRP. I'm sure he doesn't understand it, but he could surround himself with some good folks that could help him out there. Maybe put Brad Garlinghouse or David Schwartz in his cabinet. That'd be good. David already working for the government, so they've already got the background check done on David Schwartz. That'd be great. But the point why I'm saying this, guys, is not because we're not, cheering on Trump. We're cheering on the fact that our block of crypto voters, of folks that want to use DLT technology, is being heard. We are being represented, and now they're pandering to us, which is what politicians always do. In this last week, Trump said that he's going to eliminate the income tax, and he's just going to implement tariffs to make up the difference. That got people excited. Then he said he wanted to eliminate the income tax on tips. That got people excited. And as I've been saying, I just put this down on the historical record as a prediction. If I'm wrong, you guys can smash a pie in my face, throw an egg on my face, whatever you want to do if I'm wrong. But my prediction is that he's going to be coming back, and he's going to continue the transfer of wealth that he started in his first term. Now, I put out a short video on TikTok, and I shared it on YouTube too. A little quick one. Last night when this came out, it was breaking, and so I got out the video, and someone said, "What transfer of wealth are you talking about? This only benefited the 1%. And the response I have for that is exactly, that's the point. And it's not true that it just represented the 1%, because the tax laws and the regulations that got cut, that impacted everybody. Now, did the 1% take advantage of that the most? Of course. And that's the point, is that we can be doing the same things that they are to avoid taxes legally, to set up trusts for our family, to get the deal done in a way that protects our wealth, to bring real value. He cut taxes, he cut regulation, cutting off that red tape. And as he's campaigning right now, he's going to end the war on crypto. He's going to end income tax. Is that pandering? Of course. Is he actually going to be able to get it done? We'll see. But it's the trajectory that we get sent on, and what this will do to all of our markets, and what this can do for your business if you step up and take action right now. You don't have to like Trump to take advantage of this. And by the way, it already is underway. Even during Biden's term, it's been underway. And that's what I've been talking about with this transfer of wealth, is everybody thinks, oh, money's just going to fall in my lap. That's not how this works. You still got to show up. You got to make a deal. You got to, have something to invest. You got to put some skin in the game. It's not just going to show up in your lap. But there's nothing stopping you. That's what you need to understand. BlackRock CIO, quote, "A few years ago, we thought that private permission blockchains would lead. Now we realize public blockchains are better. This used to be a debate. Quietly, the debate has been settled, permissionless. Well, that's massive. And this shows that BlackRock is starting to get the crypto deal as well. But here's the important thing to understand. The option of being able to keep permissioned private chains that are interoperable with the public ones, that's the master key. And that's exactly what Ripple has created, right, with their platform in the private CBDC ledger. Or if BlackRock wanted to create a private ledger for themselves, they could do so, right? And then still have that ability to tap in with the public mainnet, that interoperability. As David Schwartz always said, hit that big red button and the walls come down. This is what they need. So it's not that they're not going to use private chains, that they're not going to use permission chain. They absolutely are. But being able to tap in, especially for liquidity, you're not going to get liquidity doing the permission deal. It's just not. You need to be able to tap into the public, and the deep open public pools of liquidity that are going to be built out on the XRP ledger have just started, really. Just go back to Apex over the last week. The partnership with Acceler and HAX to bring tokenization and real world assets onto the XRP ledger. This is going to be massive. Absolutely massive. They're already talking about bringing on $100 million worth of tokenized assets just in the next year. That's just to get started. That's the aim. So it's coming. But that ability, and this is why I like XDC too. I always thought XDC was interesting in that it was a hybrid blockchain as well. You had the public, private, hybrid capabilities. That's massive for these institutions that do need to keep some stuff private. Now, they would like to keep it all private. They would like to keep it all permissioned and controlled, but that's not the way that this is moving. Now, as far as where we're at in this cycle for crypto, a lot of people getting shaken out right now. Bitcoin was back down this week, and the broader crypto market was back down this week. But 360 Trader says this: end of cycle folks need to explain why whales don't know it's over this go around. And so what you're looking at right here is this chart on Glassnode, which shows us the number of whales versus the price of Bitcoin. Although the price has been stagnant and actually came back down this week, the number of whales has accelerated pretty rapidly since the start of this year. And this is why I firmly believe that we're right in the middle of this cycle too. We're not at the end of this cycle. Now, are we at the end of a short-term run that took us up to new all-time high for Bitcoin before the halving, that took Ethereum back up to 4,000 in the anticipation of the ETF? Yeah, that was a move that we just played out, but it's not the end of the cycle. It's nowhere near the end of the cycle. And does it mean that we're not going to go back down and test some of these lower levels and clean out, shake out some of this, some liquidations will be had? Of course, But if you look at what the whales are doing, you look at even what we just read off with the BlackRock CIO, we're nowhere near the end of this cycle. And there's a whole lot more ETFs coming. And in the base fundamental case for XRP, SEC versus Ripple case is set to conclude here soon. Not with the SEC rolling over, but it is set to conclude here soon. So let's talk about a SEC versus Ripple update. We get the filing from the SEC responding to Ripple's letter regarding the Terraform Labs consent judgment. Basically, Ripple filed a supplementary filing that included the settlement from Terraform Labs consent judgment, basically saying, hey, doesn't make sense why you want so much from us. Impose the same 1.27% ratio. Right. Ripple also compares the size of the Terraform penalty to the amount of the defendant's gross sales, arguing the court should impose the same 1.27% ratio. But that's not an apples to apples comparison, right? This is what the SEC is saying. The SEC is saying that that's not apples to apples. We want at least 100 million, right? The SEC here asked the court to disgorge results in a much larger figure, a $102.6 million penalty than the 10 million ceiling Ripple insists on. So what's happening right now is a lot of people are misreporting and saying, oh, SEC wants to settle for 102.6 million. No. They're saying that using these same metrics that the fine would be 102, but that doesn't include the civil penalty, which is why it still should be significantly more than the 102. And we're not at a point in the case where you get a settlement, right? We're waiting for Judge Torres to give us the final ruling. This is not where a settlement typically comes in. Is it unheard of? And probably not. You can ask the lawyers about that. But from my understanding, this is not where a settlement takes place. With that ship has already sailed. That train has already truly left the station, and there is no hopping on board that one. Okay. And so once again, the SEC is not backing down here, but just with Ripple being able to use all of these cases that have been happening, all this case law where the SEC has been shown to, capricious with the law, unfaithful allegiance to the law, disrespecting the court, submitting fake evidence, all of the lawyers that are leaving. And then in this case, the Terraform case, of course, the SEC says it's not apples to apples, but, the $2 billion penalty disgorgement with interest included is just a bit excessive from the SEC. But once again, that's the art of the deal. And so the SEC is starting with that number very high. They're going to get work down. And at the end of the day, guys, I really firmly believe that Judge Torres is going to give us something sub 50. And maybe she'll split the baby here once again, kind of like she did at summary judgment. Right? At summary judgment, she split the baby. She said, part of this is institutional sales are investment contracts. Everything else, good to go. So is she going to split it right down when it comes to the fine, the disgorgement? I think so. So, somewhere between that 10 and 100. And, I don't think that we pass above 50, but maybe we get closer. Maybe we're a little bit more, but it's not going to be more than 100 million in my opinion. Right. So that's an easy check for Ripple to write. We're going to be well on our way after that. And what I'm waiting for is for the judge's ruling on this, if it potentially will green light Ripple's on-demand liquidity business. Now, the SEC argues that Ripple is still engaged in the activity that's very similar to the original complaint. But what they don't admit is that Ripple has changed the way that they've sold to ODL. It is completely different. And the SEC is basically just haters and jealous that Ripple's making so much dang money. It's an incredible business model that they got. So we're going to continue to watch this one, guys. I am going to wrap up this session here and head on over to our Discord weekly call every Saturday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. If you're looking to get tapped in with us, just head on over to my website, zachrector.com, and you sign up through Patreon to get access to Discord. We got a family over there that would love to have you. If you're one of the real ones in this space, you're trying to figure out a program, a plan for what is coming our way as far as chaos, activity that's a little scary, but also for the massive opportunity on the upside, this transfer of wealth that's already underway. If you're looking to maximize this opportunity, come join us. We would love to have you. And if you appreciate these videos, please make sure you like this one. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. And like I said, everything else can be found on my website, zachrector.com. I appreciate all of you guys. We'll see you in the next one. God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.